Thank you, Steve. It's a real pleasure to be with you, and in particular with Fiona and the two Steves. Where are we? What is the situation? It's bad. It's very bad. It grows more so by the day. Contrary to the common view in Washington and in Moscow that, yes, it's a bad relationship, it could even slide into a new Cold War, but we don't want to go there. In fact, we are there, and we have been there ever since the two sides went over the cliff in the context of the Ukrainian crisis. I say that not unmindful of the fundamental differences between the situation today and the original Cold War, but my focus is very much on what are the distinctive qualities that are similar between the two periods, 5 of which that I explore in some detail in the book and won't take your time at this point for. But it's not just a question of using this idea, this concept of Cold War to capture the depth, the scale, and the nature of the collapse in relations at this point, but also something that I think is particularly important. That is to return to build perspective on what the consequences are. And they come in basically 2 categories. One, the dangers, which we are focused on. They start with the notion that for the first time since the Korean War, our 2 air forces are operating in the same space on opposite sides. Less noticed is that we are now, with potential consequences, remilitarizing the U.S.-Russia relationship and simultaneously reconstituting in a remilitarized way a central front in Europe and the dangers that flow from that. But what is not observed are what I call the opportunity costs, the major global challenges that require U.S.-Russia partnership at this point that are not being addressed and will not be addressed in the future. I have 7. Let me list 3 to give you a sample. It starts with the notion that we are now in a multipolar nuclear world of 9 nuclear weapons possessing states. It is more complex and potentially more dangerous than the original Cold War nuclear era. Secondly, the European security order that leaders promised to build from 1990 forward, rather than being progressively achieved, in fact, is being torn down at this point. Third, the tectonic geostrategic transformation that's taking place within Asia-Pacific will be dealt with competitively by the United States and Russia rather than cooperatively. And I would add 4 others that are equally significant. But I promised Steve that I'd shut up after 2 minutes.
Well, let me just